Ellis podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Want to go through my MLB Power Ratings this week. I want to talk about Clash in Italy, WWE show, and there's a lot going on. This is probably going to be one of my quicker podcasts because there's just been so much going on over the last few days. If you haven't noticed, I've also changed my studio a little bit, and this is not the final deal, but I wanted to get this out even before I decorate it the way I want to decorate it. So more changes coming. I don't love this setup right now. It's a little weird to me, so bear with me as I make some changes. But again, want to definitely get to my power ratings for baseball. There has been so much going on in the world of wrestling, so many good, incredible events and matches. Last night's AAA show was incredible. El Grande Americano OG against El Grande Americano. My match of the year so far. It was incredible. Just so well done. A lot of changes going on as to how I want to handle wrestling on my channel, on my feed. Again, I'll get more into that in the coming weeks, but for now, I want to just go through my kind of weekly power ratings and stuff like that. So remember, if you enjoy this show, please subscribe, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe. Tell your friends, have them subscribe. The more subscribers I get, the easier it is for me to reach more people and then just get out better and better content. So please do that. Follow me on my social media channels, especially on X. It's at TellUsEllisHQ at all of my social media channels. And then finally, if you have questions, want to join the show, comments, disagree with me, agree with me, whatever it might be, just shoot me an email, jamie@tellusellis.com. So with that, let's get into this week's MLB Power Ratings. Okay, you see my power ratings from last week. This is where we ended the week. And of course, this is week 9, so we'll go through and make some changes. Or will we? Let's start at the back, at the very bottom row, number 30. And the last, the bottom row of my pyramid. I will tell you that there are very few changes, well, at least initially. So Colorado is going to stay where they are. The Giants are going to stay where they are. The Angels and the Marlins, they are all going to stay exactly where they are. Didn't have great weeks, didn't have impressive weeks, just kind of status quo for all of them. And I'll leave it at that. I do want to move the Twins out of the number 26 spot, and we'll do that now. And into that number 26 spot, I'm actually going to move the Royals all the way back to number 26. The Royals had another very tough week last week. They ended up going 1-5. The Royals are now sitting at 22-36. They're 11 games out. They've lost 5 in a row. Run differentials back to -55. Unfortunately, this is just not the team that we thought they could be at the beginning of the year. The pitching hasn't been great. Cole Reagans has dealt with injuries, and the offense hasn't produced. Just not a very good team. And, they're 26th in the league in hitting from again, when I talk about hitting, I'm talking about from an on-base plus slugging percentage standpoint. Incredibly, they're 24th in the league in pitching, a 4.51 ERA. Would have never guessed that. So the Royals move back to that number 26 spot. I'm going to take the Orioles out of 25, and I'm going to move the Minnesota Twins back to 25. Not that they played well or didn't play well, just moving some teams around. I'm also going to move the White Sox out of the number 24 spot, and I'm going to move the lowly Detroit Tigers all the way from 19 to 24. Boy, this is making a Tarek Skubal trade all the more likely come the trade deadline. Detroit is now 22-37. They've lost 3 straight. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Their run differential's down to a -39. And actually, I'm going to move my screen over here. So if you see me looking the other way, it's just easier for me to see it on this one screen. But Yeah, the Tigers are just really bad right now, and didn't see this coming at all. Like I said, minus 39 from a run differential standpoint. Um, it's a bad Tigers team. That's all I can say. I think there's a lot of opportunities. You know, the Tigers have one of the better farm systems in baseball. Why not trade away some of Framber Valdez, trade Framber Valdez, trade Tarek Skubal. You'll get a lot of return for those folks. So the Tigers, unfortunately, aren't in a great spot. They still have great young players, and this is an opportunity to really reset. Not reset, but get a lot of your young guys up and then add to it. So I know it's a disappointing year for the Tigers. They'll hate to lose Skubal, but they weren't going to re-sign him anyway. This way you can trade him and not really have any concerns about, like, from the fans, hey, was that the right thing to do in a pennant race or not? Because bottom line is you're probably not going to be in a pennant race. Number 23, I am going to move the Astros out of the 23rd spot, and I'm going to move the Orioles into the 23rd spot. For once, I'm giving the Orioles a little bit of love here. I'm moving them up 2 places. They went 5-3 this week. They had a really nice series against the Tampa Bay Rays, and now they've blown it against the Blue Jays the last couple of days. But they were 5-3 on the week. Again, not moving them up too much. Run differentials now minus 42. They're 27-32, 2 games out of a wild card spot, 10 games out of first in the East. So that is where I have Baltimore Orioles. Let's see, number 22, I'm going to move the Astros to 22. They also had a pretty good week. The Astros went 5-2. Again, they're still 27-33. They still have all kinds of pitching problems. They're 29th in the league in pitching with a 4.97 ERA. By the way, the Colorado Rockies are now last, so the Houston had been last. Their hitting is great. Their hitting's 5th in the league, 734 OPS. That's not been the issue with them at all. It's been all about the pitching. So I will move Houston to the number 22 spot, and then I'm going to keep the Mets at the number 21 spot. The Mets, 25-33, 4-6 in their last 10. They have won 3 straight. Their run differentials back to a minus 22. Maybe they're trying to get a little momentum here. I don't know. But, they have a chance here to maybe at least get out of the basement of that division and move ahead of the Miami Marlins. So that is the bottom tier of my pyramid. So now let's go to the next to last tier, and I'm going to keep the Nationals exactly where they are. The Nationals, 30-29, 2 games out of a wild card spot. Run differential is -1. They've done a nice job this year. I kind of am waiting for the bottom to fall out, but for now, I'm going to keep them in that 20th spot. I think they're playing decent baseball. I'm going to move the Red Sox back to number 19. When you get back this far, these little moves here and there aren't that consequential. The Red Sox, though, were 2-4 this week. They're now 24-33. 4-6 in their last 10. Run differentials -10, indicating maybe they're not the worst team in baseball, but certainly could be a lot better. All right, big jump here. I am taking the Chicago White Sox, now moving them up to 18th. That is up 6 spots from last week. The White Sox went 5-2 this past week. The White Sox are in a wild card spot if the season ended today. In fact, they have a 2.5 game lead in the wild card. They're 31-27. They're only 2 games out of first place in the American League Central. They've won 4 straight. Their run differential is now +7. And I'm just showing the White Sox a little bit of love. Again, I am not saying that they are world beaters. I still have them in this 18th spot, which means to me, they're not a playoff team, even though they're technically in the playoffs if the season ended today. But I am just starting to give them a little bit of love, and let's see how they can play as we move here into June. I'm keeping the Rangers where they are at 17. The Rangers this past week, let's see, I think they played okay baseball. Yeah, they were 3-4. So 27-31. Again, game and a half out of a wild card spot, 2.5 out of first place in the AL West. Treading water, not doing a whole lot. Just kind of staying where they are. I will move the Diamondbacks out of 16, and I'm going to move the Athletics just back one spot. Again, not trying to do too much damage here to the Athletics. They were 2-4. They dropped out of first place. They're 28-30, half a game behind a wild card, 1.5 games behind first place. What concerns me is their run differential -29. Again, they can certainly hit the ball. 10th in the league in hitting with a 719 OPS. Part of that is the park in which they play. They're 21st in team ERA, 4.33. Again, they're gonna be fun to watch, hit a lot of home runs, hit the ball really well. It's just about sustainability at this point. So I have the Athletics at number 16. I'm going to move the Cardinals back one spot from 14 to 15. The Cardinals are still 30-26. They're 4.5 games out of first in the National League Central. They're a half game out of a wild card spot. But the Cardinals did come back down to earth a little bit, 1-4 this past week. Now, their run differentials -14. Don't love that. Their pitching has been decent, 18th in pitching with a 4.21 ERA. The Cardinals hitting has been decent at 17th in the league, a 701 OPS. Are they going to start to kind of flatten out here, go back a little bit, perhaps? I do think they were playing a little bit above their skis, but only moved it back one spot. And then I am going to move the Diamondbacks up to number 14. This is a team that's kind of taken off in these last couple of weeks. The Diamondbacks this past week were 4-2. When you look at where they sit right now, they are 31-26. They're 5.5 games back of first place in the National League West, and that's saying something when the Dodgers are the first place team. If the season ended today, they are a wild card team. Their run differential's +9. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like there. If you're the Diamondbacks, that's the kind of run you want to go on. You want to hold that, 5, 6, 7 games above 500. That'll keep you in a playoff spot. So it's been a nice couple of weeks for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Definitely starting to differentiate themselves from the Rangers. My theory forever is those two are side by side. No longer. The Diamondbacks have moved up to number 14. All right. Number 13, I'm keeping the Blue Jays where they are. The Blue Jays started out the week struggling a little bit, and then they got a little healthier against the Orioles this past week. They're 4-3 for the week. The Blue Jays, 29-30. If the season ended today, they'd be in a wild card spot. They're 8 games out of first place. Run differential's -3. The Blue Jays still aren't hitting the ball great. They're 23rd, 23rd in the league in hitting with a 690 OPS. The Blue Jays pitching has been pretty good, 8th in the league with a 3.80 team ERA. Again, it's a team that's starting to play better. I think they're exactly where I want them in this pyramid. They're the first team in the bottom to last tier, meaning they're kind of on the cusp of playoff territory. So I like where I have them. All right, let's talk about number 12, and I'm going to move the Phillies out of 12, and I'm going to move the Reds back to 12. The Reds right now are 29-28. They're 6 games out of first place in the National League Central, 2 games out of a wild card spot. This National League Central, every team is above 500. The problem is the Milwaukee Brewers, which we're going to start talking about here in a little bit. They've started taking off. And the Reds were 2-3 this past week. And when you're 2-3 and the first place team is taking off, that makes it very difficult. Again, 2 games out of a wild card spot. I'm not saying they're out of this thing. I still like them as a team. The problem with the Reds this season has been a little bit of their hitting. And when you look at where they are right now, they've actually improved their hitting quite a bit. They are 14th in the league in hitting with a 707 OPS. The Reds pitching has, as of right now, is 27th in the league with 472 ERA. So we're going to find out what the Reds are here in the next couple of weeks, especially as we enter June. Are they a contender or pretender? Minus 34 run differential. Don't love that. Again, still in a playoff spot, though, based on where we stand today. All right, that's the Reds. I'm going to move the Phillies up to the 11th spot. Boy, this has been a team that has been fun to watch in the sense that they have just creeped up and creeped up. The Phillies right now are 30-28, still 9.5 games out of first place in the National League East, but 1.5 games out of a wild card spot. Run differentials minus 19, which is better than what it was. The Phillies over the past week went 4-2. So just quietly beware of the Philadelphia Phillies, okay? They have really started hitting the ball well, much better than what they had been doing. 28th in the league in hitting still, but that's improved upon from where they were. The Phillies, from a pitching standpoint, are 14th in the league with a 3.96 team ERA. So if they can get cranking on the hitting a little bit more, they might find themselves in a playoff spot here pretty soon. All right. I'm keeping the Pirates exactly where they are at 10th. The Pirates had a good week. They went 5-2. The Pirates are 31-28. They're 5 games out of first, 1 game out of a wild card spot. Run differential still plus 25. Hitting, they are 6th. They're tied for 6th in the league with a 732 OPS. Pitching, the Pirates are one of the better teams in baseball, 13th with a 3.92 ERA. When I see their hitting as good as it is, with their pitching as good as it is, with a run differential that is plus 25, this tells me this team, even if they lose here and there, they're gonna stay in this thing. I think they're 31-28, as I said, just 1 game back of a wild card spot. So I'm going to keep them where they are right now at number 10. All right, number 9. I am moving the Guardians out of 9, and I'm moving the Padres back to 9. I'd given the Padres a lot of love over the past couple of weeks. Well, now I've got to be honest and say they went 1-5 this past week. They're 32-25. They're still up in the wild card spot, 4.5 games out of first place in the National League West. They're 29th in the league in hitting with a 659 OPS. Their pitching is 12th in the league with a 3.92 ERA, but they did fall back this week. Again, still giving them some love, number 9 in my rankings, but I did have to pull them back a little bit. I'm going to move the Mariners out of 8, and I'm going to move the Guardians up a spot to number 8. The Guardians this past week played okay. They went 3-3. They are still 34-26, have a 2-game lead in the American League Central. I think that's exactly where they should be, at 34-26. Do I think they're playing a little bit above their skis? I do. Run differentials only +6. And, yes, they're pitching really well. They're 6th in the league in pitching with a 3.65 ERA. So that's good to see. Their hitting has been a little bit, lackluster, 23rd in the league in hitting with a 690 OPS. We'll see. This team has a lot of young stars that have started coming up here. We'll see if they can continue to hit or even produce more. I think the Guardians are well positioned to win this division, given Detroit's kind of fall off. So I'll move the Guardians up 1 spot to number 8 this week. Last team in this 3rd tier, I am going to put the Mariners there. Mariners at number 7. Some of you may think I'm crazy for having the Mariners at number 7 because they're only 30-29, but their run differential is +29. They've won 5 straight. And again, I've said it since the beginning of the year. I think this is just a really, really good team. They're fifth in the league in pitching with a 3.51 ERA. Their hitting has started to come around more and more. So they are now 12th in the league in hitting with a 712 OPS. So things are really starting to come together for this team. I could see them running a little bit now as leaders of this American League West. Um, I think they're going to end up being one of the top teams in the American League when all is said and done. Um, Maybe even better than the Rays when all is said and done. I'm not sure they're going to be better than the Yankees, but maybe better than the Rays. So I've always shown this team some love. I've never moved them back too far out of my power rankings. I'm going to put them at number 7 for this week. All right, we're getting into the top 2 tiers now. The what do I want to call these? I forget what I call them, the super tiers, something like that. Cubs, I'm going to keep at number 6 for right now. The Cubs this past week went 3-4. They are 32-27, 4 games out of first place. They are in a wild card spot. They were, the last 10 games, they're 3-7. Run differential still decent, plus 23. I still think they're one of the better teams in baseball, despite some of the injuries they've had. I'm keeping the Cubs at number 6. All right. I'm moving the Brewers out of number 5, and I'm moving the Rays back to number 5. Rays did not have the best week. They were 1-5. They are still 35-20, despite going 1-5. Their run differential has come back pretty significantly. They're plus 16. Again, still think they're playing really well. Still think they're a good team. I have them 5th. So still showing them some love, but I did bring them back a little bit to number 5. All right, I'm moving the Yankees out of 4, and I'm putting the Brewers into the number 4 spot. I've thought from the beginning of the year, you heard me say it, I thought this Brewers team was really good, and they're playing like it. They're finally playing like they are the real deal. The Brewers were 4-2 this past week. They are now 34-21, plus 72 run differential. They've got a 4-game lead in the National League Central. Again, playing really good baseball. Want to see where their hitting is, because if there's one thing that's holding them back, it's been their hitting. Again, they've Yelich has missed some time. Churio's missed some time. They're 22nd in the league in hitting with a 691 OPS, but their pitching's been stellar. They're 4th in the league, 3.23 ERA. Misiorowski's pitching today. Really excited to see what he does. He is electric. The Brewers, I have them as the 4th team in my power rankings. And then the 3rd team and the first team in this second tier for me is the New York Yankees. The Yankees are, they were 5-1 this past week, 35-23, just a game and a half back of the Rays. Clearly in a wild card spot with a pretty big lead there. Their plus 93 run differential is one of the best in baseball. Yeah, 3rd best in baseball. Again, love the Yankees pitching. Yankees pitching has just been so good. 3rd in the league, 3.17 ERA. They're hitting 2nd in the league, 770 OPS. Really like this Yankees team. It doesn't even pay me to say it anymore, to be honest, because they're kind of a fun team to watch, especially their pitching. Cam Schlittler is just so exciting. So yeah, I have the Yankees 3rd. Top 2 for this week, unchanged. I've got the Braves 1, Dodgers 2. Now, I will say the Dodgers lead the league in hitting with a 785 OPS, and they now lead the league in pitching with a 311 ERA. I could, maybe I should have them above the Braves at this point. If you look at it from a record standpoint, Dodgers 37-21, but the Braves are 40-19, so they have a little bit of a better record. And but the Dodgers do have a better run differential, plus 121 to plus 111. Again, I'm not moving anything this week. The Dodgers did have a great week. They were 5-1. These teams are just all really good. Braves 3rd in the league in hitting with the 761 OPS, 2nd in the league in pitching. So Those are my power ratings through week 9 of the MLB season. Okay, I'm going to be really quick here. I want to talk about Clash in Italy, which is coming up in like 30 minutes. And I'm going to get this posted as quickly as I can. It is a really good card. I think all of these matches are really good. I'm just going to run through a couple of them really quick. Becky Lynch against Sol Ruca. Really disappointed on Saturday night's main event. Was that last week? Boy, last weekend. Yeah, I think it was last weekend. Time flies. I think Sol Ruca wins this one. She's had too many losses. I want her to come out and have a really good match. She needs to have a good match. She's botched her finisher a couple of times. I'm going with Sol Ruca over Becky Lynch, and I think Sol will become the new Intercontinental Champion. Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley wins this. I will be disappointed if Jade wins it. She's not getting over with me. She's just a little too stiff. I do like that she surrounded herself with Meechin and BFAB. I think that's really good. Helps her, but still struggling with it a little bit with Jade. I hope Rhea retains. We've got the undisputed WWE Championship match, Cody Rhodes against Gunther. Boy, I go back and forth on this. I think Gunther has really big things in store for him later this year. I wouldn't be shocked if he faces Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in a retirement match. What I struggle with is, because of that, does Gunther really need the belt? And I don't think he does need the belt for it. I also don't know what Cody Rhodes looks like without a belt. I'm going to say Cody Rhodes retains here in a really good match. But keep an eye on that Gunther, Brock Lesnar, what's happening there. And I'll jump right to that. Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, maybe the match to watch on this card. But yeah, this is going to be something. I don't know what to expect. I think Brock wins it. I think they then run it back one third time before SummerSlam that somehow gets Gunther involved, that leads to a Brock Gunther SummerSlam match. I hate to see Obafemi lose a match, but I just think it's going to happen. Honestly, I just think it's going to happen. And then finally, Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu, Tribal Combat, World Heavyweight Championship match. I think it's going to be a good match. I think Roman retains. I think they need him to retain. And that's how I see this. Again, really good card. A lot more coming up on wrestling, but wanted to go over that really quick. All right, that's a wrap for the show. Again, sorry to be quick with everything. A lot going on. Again, please click subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Would really appreciate the subscribe. Give it a thumbs up if you like the show as well. Leave a comment if you could. I would love that. Also, follow me on social media, especially on X at TellusEllisHQ. And then email me if you have any questions, Jamie at TellusEllis.com. That's it. Thanks for joining the show. Take care.